If you've ever
Welcome to today's show. Let's see if people still think we're all crazy about how this food shortage is planned, how this food shortage is actually being done by our own government. Because a lot of people think, come on, Call. The food shortage is really because of what's going on in Ukraine, because that's what President Joe says. Just like when they told everyone to kill their crops off during the 1-9er, and now we have another excuse to, not produce crops because we're deliberately trying to have food shortages and, starve people. This is how it's done. Get a load of this story. Fertilizer, right? You need fertilizer to plant food. Fertilizer producer says the UP shipment restrictions could threaten crops. You might say, what's that mean, Call? Well, what's happening is they're seeing a 20% reduction in shipments of fertilizer across the United States of America. And they're blaming it on Ukraine? No. They're blaming it on inflation? No. They're blaming it on railroad congestion. Because the railroads are so busy these days. You guys have seen it, right? You're driving down the road and you're like, oh man, look at that bumper-to-bumper traffic on the railroads. What? I mean, they just come up with these things and they just constantly are doing these things. It is so obvious what they're doing. You have to be living either under a rock or with a blindfold permanently glued to your eyes to not see what's going on. Union Pacific will curtail fertilizer shipments and put crops at risk, a major fertilizer producer says. The timing of this action by Union Pacific could not come at a worse time for farmers. Not only will fertilizer be delayed by these shipping restrictions, but additional fertilizer needed to complete spring applications may be unable to reach farmers at all. By placing this arbitrary restriction on just a handful of shippers, Union Pacific is jeopardizing farmers' harvests and increasing the cost of food for consumers. So this is another thing that'll cause prices to go up and shortages on shelves. This is another thing that will affect farmers from doing what they do, growing crops. The farmers who are still willing to grow crops, because many farmers were told to kill their crops off and actually were paid more out of your tax money and my tax money to kill their crops than the farmers would have made if they grew them and then sold their crops. Nothing to see here, no conspiracy at all. But these morons continue to think that all of this stuff is just part of life. This is just part of how the world works sometimes when there's war going on. All right, so you can conveniently starve people. You can conveniently make things up because something's going on in a small booger way, way far away from us. We have gas through the roof. We have shortages of oil. We have shortages of food. We have shortages of common sense. That's what we have going on. So the railroad comes out. I mean, what did we just deal with a few months ago, right? Or the last year. The shortages were blamed on what? They were blamed on the 1-9er, that people wouldn't come and take the shipping containers. They said, they're all stranded on the docks because of the 1-9er, so many people, were testing positive and lost their jobs. Well, people lost their jobs because they were forcing mandates on them, so they weren't able to do it. Other guys who were taking the potion were reportedly sitting there. We saw thousands of videos posted all over the internet of people sitting there in trucks waiting to pick up, have their trucks loaded. Then they came out and said, well, no one's there to load the trucks. Oh, that's convenient too. Excuse after excuse after excuse, and people don't realize that they're deliberately creating food shortages. Our government is deliberately doing it. Then on the other side of it, you have Bill Gates and all these billionaires buying up all the land. The same people who say they want to depopulate the world. I just showed you a couple days ago a clip of him talking about it. I mean, it's not new news. We've all known about it forever. He's been talking about it forever. How one of the biggest threats to humanity is the population. Because, it'll affect the climate and all, they just give you scientific answers. Everyone's like, oh, okay, this guy's not a monster or anything. He doesn't want to see people killed. Oh yeah, he does. So CF Industries informed its customers located on UP, that's Union Pacific, that railroad mandated shipping reductions would result in nitrogen fertilizer shipment delays during the spring application season. The company also informed customers that would be unable to accept new rail sales involving Union Pacific for the foreseeable future. So here's another example of a company that apparently doesn't want to make money, which is all part of this New World Order plan, right? all these big businesses who are supposed to be businesses, which means they're supposed to want to make money. That's what business is about. Not only are they just, oh, we're going to put restrictions on here. We don't care about how much money we lose. Just like all these companies like YouTube, these big businesses who are just canceling things left and right. They don't mind being, it's insanity is really what it is. If people can't see what's going on. I mean, we go through the school system your whole life and you learn about business and it's all about being successful. And all these companies are just like, yeah, we're just going to sit this one out here at Union Pacific. The railroad's got enough money. We don't need to worry about it. We're just not going to accept new rail sales involving Union Pacific for the foreseeable future. So on April 8th, Union Pacific told CF Industries that it would have to reduce its shipments by nearly 20% as part of the railroad's plan to reduce congestion in the midst of a crew and locomotive shortages. So there's a shortage of locomotives as well, folks. I guess, what are people stealing the trains? We got a runaway train never coming back. Long way on a one-way track. I mean, where are the trains going? There's a train shortage. They all breaking down when they EMP the trains, huh? Or maybe there's a shortage of some, productivity with the trains because they're trying to get rid of coal and make everything. Is that part of it? I mean, can somebody explain why this would make sense? Is there another way? You would think of all the things that are important in society, food would be number one, right? And water, because you can't live without those things. You don't think they could find another way and be like, what's on this train? Oh, we're shipping iPhones on this. Why? Maybe we should cut the productivity by 20% on, I don't know, something else if this was really going on. No. Because they need to just continually do this, and they come up with excuse after excuse that make no sense. And people just hear it and they're like, oh, that's why. And they accept it. And then when crap hits the fan, which is coming very soon, because this is another season going off of the last 2 years where there's been a massive shortage of crops. Now this is their newest excuse. It's not to give farmers fertilizer. And whoa, what a coincidence. Right now is the spring crops. These farmers need it to get the food out there, for the spring, for the sun. Oh, man, it's just a coincidence that it's happening right now, right? Couldn't have done this in the winter. Nope. Couldn't have done this in the fall, right? No. Had to happen right now. Couldn't happen at the end of the fall. It couldn't have. This doesn't tell you something's coming. If it doesn't, then you better snap out of the trance you're in, because guess what? Something's coming. CF Industries said it will ask the Surface Transportation Board to intervene so that fertilizer shipments are prioritized. Now, why? That's the point of what I'm saying. Even if you're somebody and you're like, Call, that really is going on. Fine, say it's really going on. Fertilizer should be at the top of the list of things that need to be delivered, right? We need food. We don't need iPhones. We don't need other things that are on these trains. We need food, which means we need the basic things for food like fertilizer and seed and those things, right? Just like we need water, right? Pretty incredible that this would be the thing that they picked. So CF Industries' North American manufacturing network continues to produce at a high rate to meet the needs of customers, farmers, and consumers. We urge the federal government to take action to remove these Union Pacific rail shipment restrictions to ensure this vital fertilizer will be able to reach U.S. farmers when and where they need it. The fertilizer company said it was one of only 30 shippers to face restrictions designed to unclog the UP network. CF Industries ships to customers via Union Pacific rail lines, primarily from its Donaldsonville complex in Louisiana and its port in Iowa. The rail lines serve key agricultural areas such as Iowa, Illinois, Kansas, Nebraska, Texas, and California. Wow, places that seem to grow things. How convenient. Maybe then just be like, 20% less fertilizer going to, the Home Depot up in Maine. Oh no, these are the prime growing places where farmers actually need fertilizer. Farmers, not stores, actual farmers. Affected products include nitrogen fertilizers such as urea, ammonium nitrate, as well as diesel exhaust fluid, an emissions control product required by diesel trucks, or for diesel trucks, I should say. CF Industries is the largest producer of all three products, blah, blah, blah. CF Industries says crop yields will be lower this year if farmers are unable to secure all the nitrogen fertilizer they need. Wow, what a shock. This will likely extend the timeline to replenish global grain stocks and contribute to higher food prices, the company contends. UP sent an email to customers earlier this month outlining the railroad's goal of removing 15,000 private cars from current inventory. UP is pulling nearly 3% of railroad-owned cars from the system. The railroad has said it will work with customers to avoid plant shutdowns. What point do people need to realize that your government is preparing to starve you? I mean, you only know they're building underground bunkers. They're already built. White House put another one in. The Kardashians are putting them in. I mean, you name them. People who know what's going to go down here. You know, the Kardashians aren't putting it in because they're watching channels like this and they're very aware of what's going on. No, they were told. This is what the plan is next for humanity, so be prepared because we need you when we come out of this because, well, of course, we'll let you survive this because you've helped groom people to be so stupid and useless. So, of course, this is your reward. We'll tell you what's going to occur. And, well, if we come out of it and there's still zombies left, you can continue to groom them. Right? All these people just seem to know something's coming. They're stocked up underground. They're underground for a reason, not because they're afraid of Russia. They're underground because they're afraid of the people here. Because the people here are going to go werewolf and insane, especially when they start realizing there's no food, right? When suddenly there's no McDonald's open, when suddenly they realize that they have nothing in their fridge because they got used to a lifestyle of getting Uber Eats and fast food and all this stuff, it works perfect for the elites, quote unquote. But when are people going to realize that your own government is trying to starve you? How many excuses do you need to see? Oh, the 1-9er, so we told them to burn their crops because we didn't want somebody to eat it and catch the 1-9er and have a sneeze or the sniffles. But dying of food starvation, that's okay. But having the common cough, we should fear that. And of course, the liberal people who don't have brains are like, yeah, we don't want to spread anything, okay? Forget food. We'll die of starvation for our cause, wearing masks. I mean, useless, moronic zombies. And now we're at a point where the railroads can come out and just say, yeah, you know what? The railroads are real congested. That's our excuse here. Right? And the government will go, hey, what are we supposed to, we'll see what we can do about it, but we don't know if we could do much. I mean, there's so much traffic on the railroads. You guys know. You're driving down the highway. You see the railroads. Everyone's honking at each. What? Oh, just make up some more excuses. Maybe tomorrow the railroads will be, what's going to be the excuse in the railroads? All right? All the trains are falling off the track. Oh, all the trains are falling off the track. All the trains, I mean, what can you come up with? They come up with whatever they want. They're deliberately shorting food. They're deliberately creating inflation. What does this have to do with? It has to do with everything. When they inflate prices, people just go, oh, it's not a big deal. I'll pay a little bit extra because they can afford to pay a little bit extra. Then when you realize at the end of the year you have minimal money and your rent's through the roof, you start to not be able to afford stuff, then the government comes in and says, hey, we got a FEMA camp up the road. I mean, a Disney camp, right? Whenever I covered that. We have this really cool Star Wars themed camp that Disney helped us make to help make sure everyone has housing. Let's all cram you in there. Come on. We're going to feed you too. We are? Yeah, here's your little ration. It's a soy graphene ravioli. I hope you enjoy it. Oh, thank you. Our government's taking care of us. Can I have my phone? Yes. Yes, you can. Can I go watch Pokemon? Can I watch Family Guy? Or some other whatever. The point of the matter is that they are deliberately doing this stuff and people don't see it. Railroads, shipping trucks, all of it. Shortages. Everybody's noticing it. You have to be blind. You can even order something on Amazon instead of Amazon's not as bad, but anywhere you're ordering something for the most part, where you get it comes in a month, comes in 2 months, right? People are talking about computers, how it's taking longer to get those because chip shortages. Inflation. What does it equal? Control. So now the railroads aren't shipping fertilizer and reducing it by 20% to farmers. Just another convenient way to not produce food for a country of people who don't realize that they need food to live. See, in their minds, they just need their iPhones to live. Until they get starving and their iPhone doesn't work, then imagine how they're going to be. So it's important to be aware of this stuff to make sure that you're prepared. So people keep commenting and saying stuff like, you get people all worried and upset. I'm trying to make you prepared. I don't want you to be like, something happened and then suddenly you're like, oh, I should have listened to the call. Well, just listen. Don't do anything drastic. Don't, run away. I mean, don't sell your car to get some food. But I mean, you need to have food supply ready. You need to be able to have some books and learn how to do some things on your own, regardless if something happens or not. It's very good to know and to pass on to people. People have degrees in college. I have one. It's useless. You learn nothing. You sit there, oh, it's the same crap as high school, just a little bit more enhanced. Instead, we're reading Bill Shakespeare. Oh, yay, in English class. Why am I doing this again? I don't know, but I'm paying $100,000. And then you graduate and you go, hey, where's my job? Oh, you don't get one. You got to go apply and stuff. And if you don't have the right wording in your resume so they know you're a Freemason or they know what secret society you're part of, because that's why they want you to put that on there, then guess what? You'll be at Walmart. No offense if you work there. But that's where it'll be. So you'll waste $100,000, you'll never get it back, and it'll take you forever to regain that money. That's how the system works. System of failure. And then at the end of the day, what do you know? You know nothing. You don't know how to take care of yourself. You don't know how to take care of family. You don't know how to start a fire. You don't know how to filter water. You don't know how to find water. You don't know how to, do anything. Really? So I'm trying to make people aware of this so that they are prepared. I'm not trying to make people panic and scared to live. This is the reality of the world we live in. So you have to just face it and deal with it and accept it. This isn't cupcake land here. All right? The people who live in cupcake land, they're going to go nuts when this happens. Do you think they're going to be as fake nice? These people who are fake nice. Like, you have to be positive. Right? They're always pushing this, which is what the New World Order wants, the positivity crap. Why? Because it keeps everybody naive and living in fantasy land. And when crap hits the fan, you think they're still going to be walking around going, they're going to be trying to take your food. They're going to be rabid because you're going to see their true colors because they live in a fake world and they act fake because they've been programmed to act that way. The reality is this world is a nightmare. The Bible tells us this. Do not love this world. Look around you. This is Satan's realm. So you have to just face it and accept it and man up. And then you have to prepare yourself. And you got to deal with people who are annoying around you, who don't believe you. And you got to just be like, all right, they don't get it, right? Like Jesus says when he's on the cross, forgive them, they know not what they do. When they're doing that to him. Right? Well, these people don't know what they're doing. They're under mind control. And I get just as frustrated as you. But you got to prepare. You got to be strong for people around you and in your life. And you can't be weakened by this and go, oh, this is so frustrating. And yeah, it is. It sucks. But that's not going to help you when crap hits the fan. You got to be prepared. And that's what I'm trying to make sure people are prepared for. And you're not going to find, I'm not doing videos on survival tips. And there's plenty of people who have channels, who preppers. Research it, buy books, do those types of things. I'm trying to show you that this is what's going on and to be prepared for it. So railroad shortages, how convenient, fertilizer shortages, I should say, because we have congestion on the railroad. What's next tomorrow? What's the news story on why food isn't making it to the shelves and, you're paying $10 for 6 bananas? I don't know. Maybe they'll tell us Donkey Kong is taking all the bananas off the shelves. He's eating them all. Oh, okay. That's the next thing, right? There's a banana shortage across America. Donkey Kong has gotten loose, and he's taken all the bananas, and now we have no bananas. And then what do the people say? Oh, damn it, Donkey Kong. All right, we'll move on to apples. And then the next week there'll be, there's an apple shortage. Why is there an apple shortage? I don't know. Zelda they can make up whatever they want. These people believe it. They're deliberately shortening food on purpose. They've been doing it. Now we've seen it for 3 years with excuse after excuse after excuse to the point where people will not be able to grow their own food. You don't think they know about people like me and you trying to live off grid, trying to stay off, knowing what's coming? Well, they don't give you the fertilizer. They don't give you the specific things you need. They want you dependent on them because they want control of you. And that's what this is all about.